Hey Matt, how the heck can the trumpet play so many notes? There's only 3 buttons. Haha, well, I'll tell you how. Through science.
Yes, science!
In this lesson, I'm going to teach you all about the almighty fingering combination, as well as a super sciencey thing called the Harmonic Series. And if you watch this video all the way to the very end, I'm going to play Happy Birthday on my trusty rubber chicken just for you. But don't you dare skip to the end, where I will delete your Minecraft account. But before we move forward, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell to turn notifications on, because I create new videos every single week and you won't want to miss them. Also because I have very low self-esteem. Also, I have a free trumpet sound guide. The best part about it is that it's free, link in the description, download that now. So how come the trumpet, with only 3 of these little buttons, is able to play all of these notes? But once again, we only have 3 buttons. So how can we play so many notes? Well, the fancy word for these are called valves. But first, we need to talk about this super sciencey principle that we call the Harmonic Series.
Yes, science!
Now, the Harmonic Series is a set of notes that the trumpet can play without having to push any valves down at all. So watch this. I can play so many different notes without even using my hands. And the reason that this happens is that I'm able to control the pitch by just using my lungs and my mouth and air and all sorts of other different factors. And it's a combination of air pressure, raising and lowering your tongue position, a whole singing thing that I preach about, and a bunch of other different factors. Whoa! And of course, this is a topic that I can make several videos out, which I'll probably do in the future and force you to watch them. So let's go over all the different notes on the trumpet that I can play without even pressing a single valve down. I can play low C, second line G, third space C, fourth space E, the G right at the top of the staff, the B flat right above that, but that one's super out of tune, but we can play it open anyway. And then the high C. And there's many notes above high C that we can talk about. That's all the way up in the Maynard-Ferguson stratosphere or Artur Sandoval register. And then there's also notes below the low C that we can technically play, and these are what we call pedal tones. And players such as Artur Sandoval are also masters at using this register, but it's not really common amongst most trumpet players. But in 99% of trumpet music, the range it falls between low F sharp and the high C. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So in this range, I just demonstrated for you 7 different notes that you can play without even pushing a single valve down. Isn't that cool? And now a quick little history lesson if we go back in time just a little bit. On early models of the trumpet, valves didn't even exist yet, so we were only limited to just a few notes. And that's why in early classical symphonies, we only see maybe 4 to 5 notes ever written for the trumpet part in one piece. Because that's all we were capable of doing at the time, and it usually would just double the timpani part in a classical symphony. And then the trumpet was used in militaries, which was more just for a form of communication, for sending different messages to troops through sound. And these were called bugle calls, and they were just made up of 4 to 5 different pitches to make little melodies, because again, the trumpet was valveless and that's all it could do at the time. For example, there's reveille, which means it's time to get up in the morning. And then there's attention, which means to snap to attention. And probably the most famous bugle call of all is called taps, which is used at funerals, it's used at memorials, and it's also just a general message that's lights out, time to go to bed at the end of the day. And I actually have 2 different recordings of taps on my channel if you want to check those out. So early orchestral writing and bugle calls are 2 different examples of early writing for the trumpet that just used the harmonic series, because without valves, that's all we could do at the time. So sad for trumpet players back in the day. But wait, valves were then invented so the trumpet could play every note in the chromatic scale like all the other instruments, so we can play a lot more stuff. And the very first piece that was written for the first type of trumpet that could do this, which was the E-flat key trumpet, was the Haydn Trumpet Concerto, and it was the very first piece of music that featured the trumpet playing all chromatic notes of the scale. And because of this, the Haydn Trumpet Concerto became one of the most famous pieces of repertoire for the trumpet. And just one little quick fun fact, I like fun facts and useless knowledge, it's believed that Haydn actually snuck a few bugle calls in the Haydn Trumpet Concerto just as a little joke mocking the trumpet. So anyway, now that the valve was invented, we could play all the same notes that all the other instruments could play. And because we have the harmonic series, we really only need 3 valves because we have the harmonic series at our advantage. Now let me explain. When we play the trumpet, the sound goes through all of this tubing and then it goes out the bell. And that is the shortest version that the sound moves through the trumpet. But if we press one of these valves down, it adds extra tubing, which increases the length of the instrument, which then lowers the pitch. Starting with the second valve lowers the pitch down a half step, or if you want to use some fancy pants language, that's called a semitone, or a minor second if you're really posh. The first valve lowers the pitch down a whole step, or a major second if you enjoy eating caviar for breakfast. And then the third valve lowers the pitch down 1.5 steps, or a minor third. But by the way, the lights are on your Lamborghini, you might want to turn those off. So for example, if we play that second line G that we played before, but when we push the second valve down, it lowers the pitch to an F sharp by a half step. Does that make sense?
Thank you, science.
And that's how we can play all the different notes of the chromatic scale by just using 3 buttons. Because we have the harmonic series that kind of serves as the foundation that we base our fingerings off of. And then the fingerings just lower the pitches from those starting points. And this leads me to the almighty fingering combination. It starts with open, then second valve, then first valve, then first and second valve, then second and third valve, then first and third valve, and then all 3 down, 1, 2, and 3. And you can do this from any starting point. Let's say low C. Second line G. C. E. Now, of course, you wouldn't want to use some of these fingerings in the upper register because, as you might have heard, it was just a little bit out of tune, but there are standardized fingerings that we will talk about in just a second. Actually, not just a second, I'll show you right now. Now, of course, these fingerings aren't going to make us play perfectly in tune all the time because sadly, the trumpet is just not a perfect instrument. Now, oftentimes we're going to have to make very small, tiny micro adjustments in our tongue and our embouchure. We have these little valves on the side that we can make little micro adjustments with. So you're going to have to learn the tendencies of each note, and with practice, you're going to be able to master where each note slots. And that's why we practice the trumpet, because it's a never-ending battle to make sure that each note sounds perfect. For example, for the D below the staff, I recommend kicking out the third slide. For the C sharp right below it, kick it out even more. For A's and E's, I recommend kicking out the first slide just a hair. Same with the high F and the low F sharp right in the basement. You might want to kick out your third slide just a little bit. And these are just a few suggestions, but you're going to need to experiment for yourself because, you know, all of our bodies are different. I got these really fat lips. I got a really annoying voice. So you're going to need to find what works best for you. What might work for me might not work for you. What might work for you may not work for me. So you just got to practice and experiment on your own. All right, that's it for this video. And as promised, here is happy birthday on my trusty rubber chicken. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. If you haven't already, make sure that you like and subscribe. Also, pick up my free trumpet sound guide that's in the description if you want to get even better at the trumpet. It's free. Free sound guide. Do it now. And make sure you check out this next video on trumpet breathing. Alright, see you in the next video. Happy practicing. Eat your vegetables. Don't talk to strangers. Bye.